Good afternoon and welcome to Board of Supervisors work session here in Pennsylvania County, Tuesday, December 16th, 2025, 3:05 p.m. Board meeting room, 39 Bank Street, Southeast Chatham, Virginia, 24531. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Bowman?
Here.
Mr. Dalton?
Here.
Mr. Dudley? Mr. Ingram?
Here.
Mr. Whittle?
Here.
Mr. Height?
Here.
Mr. Tucker?
Here. Madam Clerk, was Mr. Dudley going to phone in or no?
I haven't heard anything.
Have not heard.
No, I have
Okay,
not.
thank you. All right, let's see, any items to be added to the agenda?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'd like
Sir,
to
Mr. Dalton.
add an item, county-owned equipment policy as item 5B.
5B. All right. 5B. Any other additions to the agenda?
No, sir.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to add 5B and also the approval.
Mr. Chairman, I apologize. That should be 6B.
6B?
Yeah, we just
Okay.
want to move it down a section.
I'll change
That's why I
my,
was looking here.
okay. Well, I'll change my motion to make it 6B.
Thank you.
All right, that's my
6B.
motion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, is there support for that motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Ingram. All right, any discussion? You've heard that motion. Let's vote. All right. That motion passes unanimously. Now I will ask for a motion to approve the agenda with the addition.
So moved.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bowman.
Second.
Thank you so much. Any discussion? Gentlemen, cast your votes. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, for the citizens' convenience, all work session and committee meetings are now being recorded and can be viewed on the county's Facebook and the same YouTube location as the Board of Supervisors business meetings. Please remember that the board's work session is designed for internal board and county staff communication, discussion, and work. It is not a question and answer session with the audience. Accordingly, during the work session, no questions or communications from the audience will be entertained. Respectfully, any outbursts or disorderly conduct from the audience will not be tolerated and may result in the offending person's removal from the work session. As a reminder, all county citizens and other appropriate parties as designated by the board's bylaws are permitted to make comments under the hearing of the citizens section of tonight's business meeting. We'll now move down to agenda item 5A, FY25 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report Presentation. Ms. Vanderhyde.
Yes, hello.
Good
I am so thankful we're to this point in our FY25 year. You know, we usually have 1 foot in each year, and we certainly do this time. We are currently sitting in 26. We're working on budget for 27, and we're hopefully finalizing as Scott Wickham's here to make the presentation tonight to you, or this afternoon to you all, about this year's FY 2025 audit. And I'm not going to belabor anything. I'm just going to invite him up and thank him so much. He traveled here all the way from Hurt, was working in Hurt today.
Oh.
So he didn't have too far to travel. Let's make sure this is on. Here we go. So it's the down arrow. That makes it. Okay.
Good afternoon and welcome, sir.
Thank you, and thank you, Kim. Yes, my name is Scott Wickham. I'm partner in charge of the county's audit. It was nice that I was able to coordinate some work and be in town of Hurt today, so it was convenient to be over here. We just wrapped up the 2025 audit. Final copies went out yesterday, so this is fresh off the press, and I'm sure everyone's had a chance to read 177 pages of document here. But if not, as you do, if there's questions, my contact's on the front of this handout, and I'm happy to answer those as we move forward. So I'll go through a presentation, which is the very thin document, and then take questions at the end. Overview of the overall audit results. The first report that we issue in the audit report is the independent auditor's report, or the opinion on the financial statements. The county has again received an unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion you can get. That speaks to the numbers in the report. It used to be an unqualified or a clean opinion, but it's unmodified. It's the best you can get. Previously, there was 3 paragraphs was a good report and 4 paragraphs was bad. There's probably 11 paragraphs now with all additional information in there, but it's still a good report. One new item this year was GASB 101. The implementation of compensated absences was a new standard that all governments were required to incorporate in their financial statements. The county and school board have done that for 2025. The impact of that is no impact on your operations. It's an accounting liability, accrual liability. It increased the county liabilities for sick leave mostly, about $1.5 million. Impact to the schools was about $10 million. The reason for that big increase, in prior audit standards, you reported the amount estimated to be paid if an employee would leave under termination or retirement, so it was just the cash payments. With the new standard, you're required to estimate an amount used for time off as well. So a lot of teachers have a lot of time off during the year, and that increases that liability significantly for the school board and pretty simply for the county as well. But that's the big change there with information of that standard. The next section in the report is the management discussion and analysis, and this is a section that Kim and her staff work up and provide. In a governmental report, there's not a lot of information that has comparative data from prior year to current year, so it's one section that does have some good information for you to see there as far as that goes. Exhibit 1 is the full accrual balance sheet, and I can hit on some of these numbers and further in the report, but full accrual is big picture. It includes all the county assets and all of the county's debt. Exhibit 3 is the balance sheet on the modified accrual basis of accounting. So this is the shorter term, more where you're used to budgeting with your fund balance, essentially. Exhibit 9 is related to the proprietary funds or your business type activities, which is going to be the water and sewer and the solid waste. There's also a column for your internal services, which is mostly your health insurance fund. Most of the presentation is geared towards your governmental activities, so I do want to point out a few things that happened during 2025 related to those. Your solid waste cash decreased by $1.3 million, so something to keep an eye on as far as your solid waste goes. There was a big decrease in cash for you during 2025. Water and sewer cash increased by $400,000, but your health insurance also decreased by about $1.3 million, so something to keep an eye on as you're watching those budgets. And then there's 2 other reports that we have in the report. The first being the report on government auditing standards and compliance. That was a clean report with no items noted during our testing of state compliance and other standards. And then the final report is our testing on uniform guidance, or used to be A133 or federal testing. We did have one item reported there related to social services. During our testing of federal programs, social services at Medicaid, we found some untimely eligibility verifications. They're required to be done annually. They had not been done, and it was a little longer than a year. So we do have finding for those. The impact was not any benefit impact, so the people were still eligible, and there was no dollar impact, but they were non-compliant because they were untimely re-verified. So social services has implemented a process to attempt to prevent that going forward, but we did note that in the report. That was the only finding in the report. We do issue a separate letter of recommendations as well. I didn't plan to go over those, but they're in the back of this handout as well for you to read. So if you do have questions, please let me know. Moving on to the 5-year trend, kind of some financial information here. You've got 5-year trend of government-wide. This is that balance sheet, Exhibit 1 that I was talking about with your full accrual accounting. You can see to the right side there, you see annual growth rate. Total assets over the 5-year trend are pretty even. Liabilities are decreasing. And across the bottom, net position is about 1.7% growth per year over the 5 years. But the unrestricted portion being what you have available to use, growing about 12.6% per year. Net investment in capital assets is part of that net position. That is the net value of all the buildings and vehicles and infrastructure less the debt to acquire those. There was a big drop-off in 2025 from 2024 there. That's actually the school-related assets that the debt has been paid off on. So those assets have moved to the school board. So it is a decrease in your net position, but it just moved to the school board because the debt related to those assets was paid off. Still have a current ratio of just under 4, so pretty strong financially on the full accrual basis. Moving to the 5-year trend of the general fund on the revenues, you can see property taxes have grown at 8% per year. Intergovernment revenues have grown at just under 0.5% per year. In fact, in 2025, the county didn't experience quite as much, but the school boards saw a significant decrease in federal funding as a lot of the ARPA funds have been used. ESSER particularly was a major funding source for the school board, and it is closed and gone now. So we do expect to see a decrease in those state and federal funds moving forward. So it's good to see the revenue growing, particularly the local revenue growing to help fund the tax basis there. You see the expenditures on the next page, the 5-year trend for expenditures. Operating expenditures growing about 7.3% per year. Couple items of note there, the school education fluctuates a lot based on when they use their carryover funds. So you see in 2024, they did not use a lot of carryover funds. 2025, they started to use them, so that's some of the impact in that increase there as well. Towards the bottom, you see total expenditures increasing about 10.7% per year. So I do want to point out that revenues or expenditures are outpacing revenues, so it's something to monitor, but we'll talk about the health of the general fund in just a second.
Excuse me.
Sure.
Quick question on the total expenditures. 10.71% increase, would a portion of that also be the carryover from the schools?
It would be.
Okay.
Part of that is the use of that. Also, in that 10.7%, that also does include the capital projects. So looking at it on a budget basis, I'd probably consider more that operating amount of 7% increase there.
Gotcha.
Good question. On the general fund revenues here, we have a pie chart that compares the current year and the prior year. As you can see, in the 2025, about 51% of the general fund revenues were general property taxes compared to, as well, 51% in the prior year, so pretty comparable. A similar chart for expenditures, general fund operating and debt expenditures for 2025 compared to 2024. About 25% for education in the current year versus 19% in the prior year. 30% public safety versus 32% in the prior year. County reserves, as I mentioned, I was going to talk a little bit about the general fund and where you all are financially there. GFOA is a national organization that recommends a minimum unassigned fund balance of 2 months, or 2 months of expenditures, or 16.67% of unassigned fund balance. In purple across the bottom, you can see the county in 2025 was at 19.64% unassigned fund balance. It's a percentage of operating expenditures. So just above that national organization's amount. I always want to point out that that is a very general minimum. So you are above that minimum, something to watch. Certainly it takes into account it does not take into account for the fact that you all have some twice-year collections. So you receive a lot of your taxes in June, or half of them in June. It's kind of like when you get that paycheck in, the bank account looks a little bit better than it does a later time in the month, kind of thing. So think about that a little bit as you see that, but you are above that recommended minimum, so that's a good place to be. Unassigned fund balance has grown at 1.8% per year, so that is also good to see as well. County debt balances. Really good to see the decrease. You all continue to pay down debt here. I know you all have some recent issuances with literary loans for school improvements, but they do have very good interest rates. But on the whole, your total debt has decreased. Also want to point out this is not just your bonded debt. This includes those accounting liabilities such as the accrued leave or compensated absences that I mentioned earlier, as well as the net pension liability, which is an estimate provided by the state actuary, and your net OPEB liability is provided by the state actuary, and you're also a local actuary for that as well. So accounting liabilities beyond your bonded debt, but again, it is overall on a decreasing trend. There was some increases in here from the prior year related to the impact of that GASB 101 implementation. But a good decrease there. And for debt per capita, it'd be about 2,222 compared to a state average of 4,113. I always want to point out we do not have 2025 numbers yet, so the 2025 is 2024, which is the most recent information in the APA's state cost comparative report. But well below that state average, so that's a good spot to be. I mentioned that state net pension VRS retirement liability. That is not anything that the county or school board has done wrong. They tell you how much to pay, and you all have paid that. But the pension liability is a result of the VRS not doing as well as they expected with the investments, or doing better, or people staying longer or shorter than they expected. There's a lot of variables in that pension liability, and therefore it's a significant estimate. So I want to point out how significant with the sensitivity analysis. Standards require us to report it at the discount rate of 6.75%. So as you can see here on this page, the county's net pension liability is about $7 million. The school board teacher portion is about $47 million. And then the non-teacher portion is about $278,000. But you can see the impact if they do better on their investments versus worse on their investments. It's a very big estimate. So I want to point that out as part of that. As I mentioned, you all implemented GASB 101 this year. Upcoming standards, GASB 103 financial reporting model is one for impact for 2026. This standard, when it first went into consideration, was groundbreaking and going to change the entire format of the financial statements. Then they could not agree on how they wanted it to look, and then COVID hit, and then it continued to get delayed. So it's not nearly the groundbreaking changes that it was supposed to be initially, but it will have some impacts for the county. The largest being your budget to actual statements currently have original budget, final budget, actual, and the change from your final budget to your actual. It will also require a column for the change in original budget and final budget. So these additional appropriations you make during the year, the larger ones may show up in the audit report as RSI for readers to understand why the budget was changed as well. So that's one of the bigger changes going forward. There will also be some verbiage changes and maybe some improvements or increased requirements in the management discussion and analysis that Kim does, and I can provide those requirements to her. Statement 104, disclosure of certain capital assets, that also could have some impact on you all as far as the verbiage for how you all record your assets, but I don't expect it to have a significant impact on the county. So overall, the audit process went really well. We have a secure portal we send to the staff, and they do a great job of uploading those files to us. We get a good jump in the office on those, and then we visit on site, review the items that are too large to scan or we need to see in person and do our interviews and those items as well. So we appreciate everyone doing a great job of being very timely with their information. Overall, I think the next page is that recommendation letter. A lot of counties have 3 or 4 pages of recommendations, and the fact that there's 3 items here is really good. So I think overall the audit, aside from the Medicaid timeliness finding reported, the audit went really well. So I think that part was really good. Financially, you're in pretty good shape. Did want to caution those cash declines in your solid waste and your health insurance funds. General funds in pretty good shape. Just continue to watch, make sure those budgets are balanced, but overall in pretty good shape financially. So with that, a pretty good audit, and I'll take questions.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Great briefing and presentation. So just one question, it has to do with the DSS. The folks over there, they have a tough time trying to keep up with everything. The personnel changes, people coming and going with that. So basically, I guess the finding was under Medicaid
That's correct.
It was under a Medicaid, and there was nothing, no funds, I guess, actually lost there. It was,
Correct.
explain that one to me.
Yes, so the federal requirements are that the workers go in and annually verify each case to make sure that there's not been a change in benefit eligibility.
Okay.
And so they had not done that timely, but once I discussed with Regina which cases we found to be untimely, they went and did those verifications, and it did not impact anybody's benefits. So there wasn't a dollar change or anything wrong other than the fact that they were untimely. So they probably would continue to be untimely if we had not pointed them out, but
Okay.
now there's a plan in place to prevent that. So
Okay, good. That's all I wanted right there. I just want to clear that up. Thank you very much. Good presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Whitman, and thank you for presenting the audit to us. I had a question on our general fund balance and our reserves there. Now, I know we're over the threshold in terms of having enough money in the fund balance to meet our obligations. But my question is, since we're kind of fudging the line there a little bit, and we're getting ready to get into budget season, what would be your recommendation in terms of maybe an incremental increase to that threshold as far as the fund balance is concerned?
that's a great question. Being an accountant, I'm more on the conservative side, so if the national recommendation is 2 months, I would say at least 20%, maybe closer to 25%. There's a lot. There are some localities that have a formalized fund balance policy with a minimum that may require some sort of increases if that happens. So potentially looking at updating or policy changes to get there as well could be a good option. But I do think that you're in good shape, but I think that's something to make sure you're monitoring during your budget.
Yes, sir. I don't just necessarily want to be in good shape. Ms. Vanderhyde does a great job in terms of keeping us financially solvent. I guess to kind of fine tune this question, if we increase to 20%, would we not want to do that incrementally over a span of maybe 5-6 years, that sort of thing, so that we don't put ourselves out of whack in other areas of the budget?
Sure, I think that's a good option, a good plan to do that. And I don't think you're that far off either. As this is just a calculation based on operating expenditures, there certainly could be one-time expenditures in there that are decreasing your number also. So it's more of a barometer, but it's not an exact science either.
Right, I get it.
And it does not include your assigned or your restricted funds. The 1% sales tax and things like that are not included in that unassigned fund balance. So.
Okay. That makes me breathe a little easier. And so this is kind of like a one-time snapshot, moment in time thing.
Correct.
Type of deal. Okay.
Exactly.
All right, good deal. I'm good. Gentlemen, any other questions? No questions? Thank you so much, Mr. Whitman.
Thank you all.
And we appreciate you working so closely with us.
Yes. If anything else, just please let me know. Happy holidays.
Thank you, sir. And again, let me give Ms. Vanderhyde, her team, their kudos, because they run a pretty tight ship over there, and you all not only balance our books and keep us accountable and help us in decision making, but I really, really appreciate a clean audit. All right. Anyone else? Okay. All right, we move to agenda item 6A. Clerical update on Pennsylvania County Code authorization, Mr. Arnold. Good evening.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Hopefully at you all's seat at the dais, you have a copy of a handout that I just distributed a short while ago. This provides some examples of what I would like to discuss with you all today in regards to examples of scrivener's errors or clerical errors, also potential contradictions within county code or In the case of the examples that we're going to be discussing, different sections of the zoning ordinance may contradict themselves, and also opportunities to just improve the overall clarity by way of reformatting the county code. Right now, I'm primarily focusing on the zoning ordinance because that's one of the chapters of code that we deal with most frequently. It's probably the most sizable in terms of page numbers and everything like that, but certainly these opportunities may present themselves in any of the numerous chapters of county code. So one of the first examples I'd like to share with you all is when it comes to determining the front yard for lakefront property at Smith Mountain Lake. And if you look at in section 35-40 in the principal definitions, you'll see on page 47 that for Smith Mountain Lake, quote, front yards for lots or lots in subdivisions that border on the edge of Smith Mountain Lake shall be assumed to be located between the principal building on the lot and the road fronting the lot. Front yards shall not be considered to be between the principal building and the lake. However, if we look at another section of code, 35-61, we will see that in December of 2021, it states, and I quote, on Smith Mountain Lake and Leesville Lake, the front yard for lots and subdivisions that border on the edge of Smith Mountain Lake shall be assumed to be located between the principal building on the lot and the lake. Front yard shall not be considered to lie between the principal building and the road. So the reason for bringing this up is when we review, one of the reasons is staff during the course of evaluating building permits, we do a site plan review. And you frequently might get building permit applications for accessory buildings to be located on lakefront property as well as anywhere in the county. So which one do you go off of right here? I think it's a pretty, hopefully an obvious point to make, but this has, the point of all of this is largely based around, we have a day-to-day utilization and usage of county code, and the clearer it is, not only for staff, but the public, then hopefully we can all, it's easier to navigate and easier to get on with the task at hand, which hopefully is going to be, issuing permits and then passing it over to the inspectors and the building official to ensure that things are constructed to, uniform statewide building code standards. So that's one example. And I also want to point out this. When it deals with making an amendment to county code, what we're seeing here is likely to happen to anybody. There's so much interrelationships in this section of code. We're thinking, we just got to update this, and there's gosh knows how many other places that might be tucked away in there that you also need to be touching as well to update it. So it's a lot of times you don't realize these things until time goes on and you happen to revisit another section and you're like, wow, okay. In a perfect world, we would have caught that before we would have gone forward with that most recent code amendment. Similarly, as far as accessory, still dealing with accessory buildings or structures, one section of code in the RC1 zoning district, it states that the accessory structure must be at least 12 feet from the rear property line. However, section 35-74 states that 15 feet from the rear property line for accessory buildings is required. So that one you may almost say you could probably include some wording that would just allow you to refer to the regulations of a specific zoning district. And so you could just include a statement there in section 35-74 possibly, and this would all be with working with the county attorney to make sure things are very clear and can be easily operationalized. But you could state something along the lines of, for section 35-74, section number 2B, a detached accessory building shall not be closer than 15 feet to the main building or rear lot line unless specified unless a different setback distance is specified within the zoning district specific regulations, something along those lines that will give you some flexibility there. So those are just examples of contradictions. Let's also look at maybe what I would call an opportunity to improve the formatting of the ordinance, and which also would make it easier to use and easier to apply. So if we look at section 35-402 for M2 permitted uses or heavy industrial zoning district permitted uses, you see a pretty lengthy list of all the uses, and this is just an excerpt from it. This is not all the uses. This is like one of 3 pages, but they're not always sorted alphabetically. They also, sometimes you might have multiple uses listed on the same row, and the spacing, or they're not. It's not clear when there's one use that you're referring to and it runs into another use, and so maybe include some punctuation, maybe make it a bulleted list, maybe put it in the form of a table with rows and columns. I mean, we can all come up with ways to improve this, but again, we want this to be navigable for the public and for staff, and that's at the heart of all of this. And lastly, and a lot of the reformatting deals with those list of uses, whether they're the by right or the uses that require a special use permit. Third kind of family of opportunities to clarify county code, and in particular the zoning ordinance, would be referred to as the category of Scrivener's errors or clerical errors. And so one example that I pointed out in here is from section 35-712, issuances delegated to the Board of Zoning Appeals. It states, let's see, and I'm going to just jump in midstream rather than reading this lengthy statement, but that the character of the zoning district will not be changed thereby, and that such use will be in harmony with the purpose and intent of the ordinance, of this ordinance, with the uses permitted by fight in the zoning district with additional regulations. I think we mean by right there, although some might say it can be a little bit of a fight or a struggle to get something pushed through when it comes to getting zoning approval, but I don't think that's the intent or the spirit of the zoning ordinance in that case. So again, these things are easy to spot, but when myself as well as many other staff are looking at these ordinances on a daily basis, we frequently pick up on these opportunities. So that's really all I got. I appreciate y'all letting me share with you those examples. The ask today is that we pass a resolution that would authorize the county attorney to make these improvements and amendments to county code wherever it's identified, so long as it only addresses, like grammatical errors, spelling errors, opportunities to improve the formatting, or to resolve contradictions when we see that there's been a more recent amendment and there were older sections of county code that probably should have been updated once that more recent amendment was approved. So that's essentially it, I think. But to follow up with one last point on that, I am not advocating nor asking that there's any change to the intent or anything like that, of that true substance of any county ordinance or section of county code, as that ultimately requires Board of Supervisors approval. Thank you. And I'm happy to answer any questions you all might have.
Yes, sir.
Chairman,
Mr. Dalton.
thank you, Mr. Arnold. Couple of things. You had an illustration about the lake. Now, the lakes, don't Smith Mountain and Leesville, don't they regulate from the shoreline up so many feet that we don't have control of?
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, like the docks and so many feet up.
That's right.
If
It's
the
based upon
building's like 600 feet on one of them, I think 8 on level.
I believe it's more about 800 on like Smith
think it's
Mountain. Like
800
maybe you're right, the Leesville
Yeah.
Lake might be lower than 600. Yeah,
Okay,
around
so if
something
that
like that.
building's in that, we don't have any control of it. All that's regulated by AEP.
Well, we shouldn't be allowing a building to be
Right.
below that contour, whatever that elevation is.
Right. I'm just saying they control that.
That's right.
And then a lot of this other stuff, I know once we get to that point on that we had Berkeley to do our rezone
Yes, sir.
ordinance, a lot of this will be in them changes, won't it?
There is certainly a good chance they will be,
Okay.
absolutely, absolutely. But the point of bringing this here today is I just think there's opportunities to correct these fairly minor things as we still continue to look at how the zoning ordinance can be approved more globally and comprehensively. But until we're at that point, I'm asking if you all might be on board with making these, what I could say again, minor updates.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold.
Thank
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Mr. Bowman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dave, the ask that you have to let the attorney make these corrections, I'm okay with that. It's wordsmithing stuff, and yes, you see the obvious in there, so yeah, making those changes, I'm good with that. The only question I've got is on the lots here, on homes that are on the lakes, yeah, that's usually every homeowner that lives on the lake, that's their front yard, is looking out over the lake there.
The water.
So I'm kind of curious as to why the one you've highlighted here on Smith Mountain Lake in Leesville, the front yard of lots and subdivisions that border on the edge of the lake shall be assumed to be located between the principal building of the lot and the lake, but the front yards shall not be considered to lie between the principal building and the road. You know, the dates here, you've got 2021 and 2025. Why would that happen like that? I mean, I don't see where somebody would have made or should have made a change like that. I think just leaving it like it is. So evidently somebody was asleep at the wheel when that one happened.
As I stated, I
I'm not-
think
I mean, this is.
it's right. We aren't catching this we're not talking about this until today in 2025.
Yeah.
Yet the most recent section of code was updated in December of 21.
Right.
I think, well, I don't want to speculate, but there's probably a good chance that whenever that section of code was updated, they were just unaware of another reference in the same chapter in the zoning ordinance that might need to also be touched and updated. And I have heard of this happening in many, many localities. It's kind of par for the course. But when we catch it, we just want to make sure we get it all right. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. What else? Yes, sir, Mr. Whittle.
Would you let the board know when you made changes and things like that?
Absolutely. We would be happy to have some type of a communication stream so that you all know, what updates are made, and how we do that is something I'm happy to work with our county attorney on, whether it's, updates as needed, or we can certainly ensure there's some transparency on what's being updated. Absolutely.
Thank you, Dave.
You bet.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mr. Arnold. Yes, sir. Mr. Ingram.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold. You were somewhat reluctant to say that they would be incorporated in the new comprehensive zoning rewrite. I was confused with that because I was thinking that our new zoning upgrade would be consistently inclusive of everything.
Oh, sure. The reason why I had maybe come across as some reluctance to make a statement there is only because I did not look to see if these particular items that I shared with you today, were they clarified in the proposed ordinance. Our focus is the ordinance that we're currently working with, which is the adopted zoning ordinance, that ultimately dates back to 1991, but has been updated along the way. So, but your point, though, is valid as far as whatever updates are going to be made, whether they're Scrivener's errors or reformatting improvements. We obviously want those to perpetuate on through to, the next iteration of the county zoning ordinance, and then proposed zoning ordinance. And I don't have that firsthand knowledge to know how they were addressed in the Berkeley Group's work. But I'm inclined to say they've likely would have been caught, because that was, as I understand, one of the main goals of that was to just, over time, it makes sense from my standpoint. You got a lot of hands that touch things. There's a lot of different sections to touch it, and a lot of years that span. And so the potential for these things is what I would call only natural. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Arnold, thank you again for your presentation, but I guess my question is this. Our new Department Head over at Community Development, Oscar, and I can never call his last name, is it Vaughn?
Vaughn, Oscar Vaughn is the chief building official. Yes, sir.
Okay. My question is, I'm sure he is taking a look and assisting you with this and making sure that he brings his experience to bear on some of this stuff.
I feel quite confident. Yes, sir. He has observed these along with me, and we kind of point them out as we find them. And these are just examples. There are others buried in there.
Trust me, I get it. I just want to make sure that, he's fully engaged there.
Sure.
Okay? But, no, I don't have a issue with that. In fact, I am hoping once we get the comprehensive plan in place, we can overlay that and, at some point, we're going to have to transition away from the 1991 version.
That's right.
And move to our new comp plan and our new policy. So I just want to make sure that our Mr. Vaughn, yourself, everybody's kind of looking forward.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. Anything else, gentlemen? Mr. Evans, I guess what we need to do is put it on a consent agenda, maybe wordsmith it. Is that right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right, so we get the language correct.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much. Anything else, gentlemen? Okay. All right. Any other discussion from our business meeting? All right, we move to 6B. We have one here. Let's see. This is county policy concerning equipment
Yes, sir.
paraphernalia. Okay. All right, good deal. All right, who wants to present? Let me go ahead and do this real quickly. And this is another area that we probably need to clean up, and I've already expressed my gratitude to Mr. Height privately, so let me express it publicly. I appreciate your time and serving with you, sir. I know tonight's your last meeting, and we'll love on you a little bit, but also for being the vice and just being a good sounding board sometimes when, I as the chairman want to vent. So you've been a great guy for that. Mr. Height wants to purchase his laptop, cell phone, that sort of thing, and it's been customary that the county would sell the firearms to the sheriff's department retirees for $1. And someone shared with me that they changed the policy. Previous board changed the policy in preventing the supervisors from purchasing their laptops or cell phones, that sort of thing, for $1. They wanted to have them appraised fair market value, and I don't think we should go down that road. I expressed privately to a couple people that we just need to codify this, and our supervisors, once you've served effectively and served well, and all of you all on this DS know that this is not a 9-to-5 job. It's like 8 to midnight some days. So that being the case, I just think in the interest of fairness and parity that we should set the policy, and we should not change it back and forth with, the changing of the board. I think that any board person, be it male, female, that serves as a supervisor, should be given the opportunity to buy their phone and their iPad for $1 from the county. So I'll entertain discussion on that. So that's where we are.
I know we looked at that a few years ago. I don't remember the $1. I know that applies to the sheriff's office weapon, that the officer in good standing can purchase that for $1. But as far as the iPad and the phone itself, I agree with you. I think that the holder has surely worked for it, and whatever we can do to help facilitate that exit gift, I'd be in favor of it.
Yes, sir, Mr. Bowman.
I'd just like to say that Eddie needs all those electronics he can get, because I know he's not getting them at work. And and in comparison to a weapon, the weapon has more value, because when you're looking at the electronics, these things here, the phone, I mean, you're going to have a new one every 2 or 3 years. The laptop, you're going to have to update all the software. Yeah, I'm okay with it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
You have fun with it, Eddie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir, I'm fine with it. I think it's good.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Thank you, Mr. Dawson.
Mr. Wood.
You good, Mr. Whittle? Any comments? Yes, sir.
So were you advocating $1 or something else?
Yes, sir. I'm just saying, let's just.
You know, I agree. Fair market value is very subjective,
Correct.
and I like your proposal, and I would second that.
Okay. At any rate, what I would like to see is we'll ask Mr. Evans to wordsmith that for us. And, let's set the policy in perpetuity if we can for the county supervisors. Please. Cool. Anything else? And that way it's not changing with every whim. I don't think we need to keep going back and forth with that sort of thing.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Any other discussion from the business meeting? Okay. Time for closed session. Mr. Evans, would you read us in, please, sir?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, there are 4 matters designated for closed session this afternoon, which are: first, discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointments, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees or employees of any public body, legal authority, Virginia Code, Section 2.23711A1, subject matter, discussion of compensation incentives for county employees, purpose, review, and discussion of the same. Second, we have discussion or consideration of the acquisition of real property for a public purpose, or of the disposition of publicly held real property where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body. Legal authority, Virginia Code, Section 2.23711A3, subject matter, potential real property acquisition for public purpose, and the purpose is review and discussion regarding the same. Third, we have discussion of plans to protect public safety as it relates to terrorist activity or specific cybersecurity threats or vulnerabilities, and briefings by staff members, legal counsel, or law enforcement or emergency service officials concerning actions taken to respond to such matters or a threat or a related threat to public safety, discussion of information subject to the exclusion of subdivision 2 or 14 of 2.23705.2, where discussion in open meeting would jeopardize the safety of any person or the security of any facility, building, structure, information technology system or software program, or discussion of reports or plans relating to the security of any governmental facility, building or structure, or the safety of persons using such facility, building, or structure. Legal authority, Virginia Code, Section 2.23711A19. Subject matter, jail and courthouse updates. Purpose, discussion regarding the same. And lastly, discussion concerning the prospective business or industry or the expansion of an existing business or industry where no previous announcement has been made of the businesses or industries' interest in locating or expanding its facilities in the community. Legal authority, Virginia Code, Section 2.23711A5. Subject matter, unannounced prospective businesses and industries. Purpose, general economic development project updates. Mr. Chairman, now be appropriate to entertain a motion, discussion, and vote regarding closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. I'll entertain that motion to go into close.
So moved.
Thank you,
I'll
Mr. Ingram.
second it.
Thank you so much for the second. All right, any discussion? Hearing none, cast your votes, please, gentlemen. Motion passes unanimously. Let us convene into close. Thank you. quorum. Mr. Evans, would you read us in, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Be it resolved that at the Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors work session held on December the 16th, 2025, the board hereby certifies by a recorded vote that to the best of each board member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act and identified in the motion authorizing the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed meeting. If any board member believes that there was a departure from the requirements of the Act, he shall so state prior to the vote, indicating the substance of the departure. The statement shall be recorded in the board's minutes. We will now have a roll call vote regarding the said certification of closed session. Mr. Bowman?
Yes.
Mr. Dalton?
Yes.
Mr. Dudley? Mr. Ingram?
Yes.
Mr. Whittle?
Yes.
Mr. Height?
Yes.
Mr. Tucker?
Yes. Thank you,
Chairman.
Mr. Evans. Motion passes.